Yeah, so we're a relatively small company. We're about 20, 25 people, but we punch well above our weight because we leverage AI for everything. Like I spoke about security, software development, even marketing has a whole slew of tools that leverage AI.
Welcome back to the podcast. Today I'm joined by George, the CISO at Trustero, a leading name in the GRC security space. At RevGenAI, we build AI automated outbound and thought leadership podcast systems for B2B founders. And this show is where we're spotlighting growth minded leaders who are driving innovation in their industries. Today, we'll explore how George and his team are creating impact, scaling growth, and shaping the future of security, risk, compliance, and AI and GRC. George, it's great to have you.
Thank you for having me, Mayor.
Of course. So a good place to start is, can you explain a little bit about how Trustero got started and really what's your key area of focus and what inspired you to focus on those things?
So Trustero is a startup here in Silicon Valley. The company was founded about 5 years ago, and it was an AI company from the ground up. Um, as you know, in the governance, risk, and compliance space, it's pretty crowded. There are a lot of tools out there, but majority of the focus is around cataloging the artifacts like policies, controls, evidence, and providing the workflow, managing the workflow around them. Our position is slightly different. We decided that we need to automate those workflows as much as possible. So instead of having people testing the controls, we ask AI to do that. Instead of people doing gap assessment against new regulations, new standards, and all that, we ask the AI to do that. So essentially, we are a multi-agent AI platform. We contextualize the platform with all the artifacts of the company, policies, controls, risks, evidence, standards, all of that. And we rely on that group of agents, AI agents, to collectively act as a GRC analyst. So imagine having a GRC analyst that have a full context of your environment, and you can interact with that analyst.
Yeah, I know how amazing AI agents are really getting because we employ a lot of AI agents at RevGenAI
Yes.
as well. And it's a matter of being able to shift your trust from being in this experience that we've had where AI can be very unreliable to seeing, okay, this performs and it's doing even better than what humans can do. And it's shifting so many industries. I'm very curious to understand a little bit deeper how your process or framework actually delivers measurable results. Like, what are the main KPIs that your clients care about and that you're tracking, and how are you actually delivering this service to your clients?
Yeah. So you're bringing an interesting point about the trust in the AI, and especially in the beginning, there was a lot of hallucination, for example, or inaccuracies within the AI. And we're in such a space, governance, risk, and compliance, that we have to be absolutely accurate. That's the thing. We don't want to bring additional risk to the environment, and therefore we have a lot of techniques within the platform how to minimize the inaccuracies. So we're generally looking at 3 dimensions when we measure the results. We're looking at the accuracy, so how many of the results are correct. So for example, when we do for control testing, we also do it by human, and we compare the human output versus the AI output. So that's the accuracy. We also look for consistency. And consistency, especially in the AI space, is very interesting because the AI, by definition, is non-deterministic as opposed to algorithmic solutions. So achieving consistency, like every time when you test the same control, you get the same result. That is another KPI. And also completeness. So everybody who has worked with the AI knows how important the prompting and the contextualization is. So making sure that we actually have the full view of whatever we're asking the AI to do. So those are the 3 KPIs, and we have some stats. We continuously improving. We have some stats, and in some areas we're getting close to a human. In other areas we're actually surpassing the human, because there is the as I mentioned earlier, a lot of those tasks are repetitive and mundane. And our brain is such that when we are faced with repetitive and mundane tasks, we kind of lose concentration and we start making mistakes. Whereas with the AI, that's not the case. So the results are pretty consistent over time.
Yeah, yeah. I like your approach to testing and focusing on accuracy and consistency. These are, key performance metrics that really do matter when it comes to handling sensitive data. Um, I am curious because I can tell that you guys are on the cutting edge. What are some shifts and trends that you guys are seeing that are really shifting how you're actually using AI and then also using it to actually advise clients and yeah, what new ideas are you most excited about that are coming out now?
So it is interesting, and I'm going to speak about the GRC space, which the product addresses, but also the business of security, because yeah, I'm the CISO. Also, I'm interested in how the security runs. Um, from the GRC perspective, I think we're seeing this trend where more and more the AI is going to help us. Currently, the GRC tools are experimenting. There's some interesting solutions that are coming from the incumbents. For example, last year, Archer, that's one of the big GRC suits, they introduced a module that allows to scan the environment and identify relevant changes, like a new law comes up or a new version of a standard comes up and notify you about those things. The other area that AI started coming in is very similar to what we're using the ChatGPT and similar tools, like helping you write better policies, for example, kind of just the language to be better. Um, I think we're going to see more and more of what we are doing, which is, in addition to just writing better content, is to actually do the work for us. And again, focusing on those things that can be easily described, organized, mundane, repetitive. That is a perfect candidate for an AI. And kind of coming outside of the GRC space, we're seeing the same thing all over security. For example, an area that is ripe for AI is the SOC area, the Security Operations Center area, because this is a place where the analysts have to work with a lot of data, and it's very repetitive, very mundane. So it is perfect for AI, and we started seeing some really interesting tools coming on the market. Also, vulnerability management, that's another area where we can see a lot of changes. In general, AI is going to take over those repetitive tasks, which is actually, from my perspective, it is good because it will allow people to focus on more intellectually stimulating things. Like, for example, in our space, I would much rather analyze the risks and have a discussion what to do about them rather than chasing people for evidence for controls. Right? So that essentially is going to be more value add. Of course, this is going to have implications on how the business of security is run. So if we have these junior analysts that are doing a regular vulnerability scanning and analyzing the vulnerabilities, or being a junior staff on the SOC, or being just general junior specialist in security, we have to see what we're going to do with the people, with the talent that we already have. It's in the organization and has the background and the institutional knowledge and the intellectual capacity to do more interesting stuff. So we have to think about what we do with that. And at least from what I'm seeing, talking to my colleagues, is that more human-centric skills are becoming more important, like being able to analyze issues, knowing what kind of questions to ask, being able to interpret the answers, pitching ideas within the organization. Like if you want to do something new, how do you convince other people to follow you, establishing those relationships. So those things are becoming more and more important than the kind of the regular technical skills, which you have to have in order to work with AI. Let's be honest with you. You cannot just come from the street and start operating just on AI.
Yeah. Well, I beg to differ on that point. I don't have a technical background, but what we're doing with AI agents right now, like and the development that I've been going into, like with Claude Code and these different tools, is just like it's what I thought was impossible a month ago is now become possible. And
No,
I know,
so yeah, going back to the ability versus quality, in fact, there are quite a few studies that if you use just AI agents, the quality of the code is not as good. So it's going to do what you ask it to do, but the security is going to be questionable.
100%, and that's why I was going to say that. Like, I think that companies like yours are going to become even more important in this wave of AI because it's an afterthought. People don't think of security until it's too late, and that's why
Becomes
companies that
very expensive.
yeah, that's also true.
Yeah.
It's
So
also
that's
true.
why we have to have a human in the loop. That's another kind of a credo of our company and something that I actually believe in that
Mhm.
AI is not at the point where you just can kind of let it go on itself on its own.
Mhm.
You have to have a human in the loop. So we're becoming more and more of a manager with all the positive and negatives around that. So you have to know how to ask about things and you have to know how to evaluate whether the delivery of those things is correct.
100%, 100%, and I've been going and improving on that. But I agree. I agree with you. The frameworks and the foundations are super important when it comes to understanding what's behind these systems, how they actually operate, and how to
Absolutely.
use them.
And
And
there is a risk there. And recently we've been talking more about that, which is good actually. Because if you think about each one of us, we kind of race through the ranks by doing something like an apprenticeship. You start at the lower level and you get familiar with certain things, how the business is done, how to do certain things, and then you race through the ranks. Now, when you have a more seasoned professional who is using AI, they don't need those junior people. The AI is doing their job. So, how do we train those junior people now so that 5 years from now we have senior people who can work with AI? And that's a challenge, not only in the security space, not only in the software development space, but across the board.
mm, that's a very interesting question to think about. How we're actually going to develop like learning in the age of AI, especially I think about that for children these days and how they're going to grow up into a world that's,
Yes.
rapidly evolving. But let's put that aside for a moment. I am curious too. That's a big question. I don't know. We have
Yes, it is a big question. We don't have an answer yet.
no. I am curious to ask you about a different area of your strategy at Trustero, about your go-to-market specifically. This is an area
Mhm.
that we focus on, so it's an area of interest for me.
Yes.
What is working for you best right now in terms of marketing and client acquisition?
That's an interesting question because still the vast majority of the customers on the market are looking for a traditional GRC tool. So, as I mentioned, give me a catalog of all of my artifacts, and I need a workflow to manage them. Um, and you have to have a little bit out of the box thinking in order to start thinking about, okay, how I actually fully leverage AI, because that breaks the model, that breaks the traditional model. And we early recognized that in a lot of cases, we may not be the right solution. So, for example, if you're a relatively small company with a very simple environment, and your goal is not so much security and risk management as it is to, for example, get a SOC 2 certificate in order to be able to sell to your customer, then we're not of much value for such a company. There are other tools that give you the recipe and you follow the recipe, and it's much faster and easier for you to do. However, if you're really interested in security, and that's why we say SOC 2 is a great thing, or ISO 27, or any of those certs, name it. They're a good starting point on the journey to security, but that's not be all and be done with everything. It's a good foundation to start with. And now, when we talk about the next step, which is okay, now I have some foundation and I'm interested in risk management, I'm interested in security in general for my company. And that usually happens either when the company grows above certain size and now they have a customer base and they have to manage the risks because of those customers, or the company is regulated, so it's forced to manage those risks. In that case, then, and on top of that, if the environment is more complex, like multiple business units, different geographic locations, multiple products, those kind of things, then just the volume of information that needs to be processed becomes very big. And that's where AI starts to shine. Because let's be honest, no one knows everything about their environment, especially in a larger company. So that is kind of the focus for us, and enterprise and mid-market companies that are more complex, more regulated, and most importantly, that are really focused on security and compliance and risk management. So the good news here is that those companies actually understand, because they realize that they cannot add more people forever, and even then you're getting to some plateau that even if you add more people, you still cannot do the job. And in that case, then you have to look for a qualitative jump, and that's where companies like us come in.
Mm. And I'm also curious, given that you guys you are a startup, what has been the biggest challenge for you in terms of consistently filling your calendar and actually getting like all the qualified leads that you'd like to have, given the long sales cycles and also expensive
Yeah.
service and just being able to grow at the pace that you'd like. What has been
Yeah.
some of the challenges around that?
Yeah, so we're a relatively small company. We're about 20, 25 people, but we punch well above our weight because we leverage AI for everything. Like I spoke about security, software development, even marketing has a whole slew of tools that leverage AI. So that is one way to kind of augment the capabilities. The other thing is that I would say that we are still figuring it out. So our marketing person and the marketing team as a whole, we're trying different things. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I think we found the most important thing is that to have the proper business strategy. And once you have the business strategy, to figure out how marketing plays a role. And again, there are going to be some things that work and some things do not work. It is important to get a person who is willing to embrace the new way of doing marketing and leveraging the tools, and just kind of be a little bit of a trailblazer, to be honest with you.
100%. I mean, I think that we don't know what everyone else is doing, but uh, we also we're very focused on how we can actually leverage AI in this new age, but with the same type of focus that you mentioned earlier about like keeping everything human centric. At the end of the
Yes.
day, marketing is about connecting humans to humans, solving human problems. So we can't lose sight of that, but we can use the tools nowadays to achieve better outcomes at a higher scale at a cheaper cost. Like these are the areas that we also focus on.
Yeah. And if I look through my career, marketing has been successful when the company kind of what you call it, drink your own champagne, eat your own cookies, whatever. You're trying to solve your problems, and by extension, you're solving the problems of the customer. Because then marketing department becomes really attuned to those problems, and that helps them really hone in the message and figure out what the personas are and all those kind of things. So if you're selling something that you're using and you look like your customers, then that is a big boost for the marketing department.
Mm, I like that insight a lot. I would love to ask this question to you. If you had a magic wand, what's one thing that you'd change in Trustero right now to make your own growth easier?
I would probably say that we need more implementation of AI, using AI in more areas, because like in every company, there are a lot of things that you have to do, and that's why I'm really hopeful about, and I'm really looking at the Anthropic announcement about the Claude the CoWork. I think that's going to make some major changes in how we operate as a company, and not just us, but many other companies as well. So um, I'm really excited about this product, and we started actually looking at it internally. So it's going to be a big deal, I think.
It is. It is. It's basically Claude Code, but for knowledge workers. And so everything that
Exactly.
we're looking at as well is being revolutionized. And I think we see things the same way. That's the biggest key focus that we have is how we can actually leverage AI. But again, it's also very good insight when it comes to marketing that you actually are selling a good product, something that you would actually use yourself. And
Yes.
so I like a lot of the insights that you've brought today, George, and thank you for this conversation. For any listeners who want to connect and learn more about Trustero, where's the best place for them to connect with you?
They can go to trustero.com. We're traditional one. Of course, AI works as well. But trustero.com, we also have some podcasts that kind of expand more on those ideas. So feel free to listen to them and also reach out to us.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, George.
Thank you, Mir.
Perfect. So I'll cut the recording there.